A guild shrouded in shadow, reviled for its practices and yet still much sought after, the Dark Brotherhood stalks the dark places of Tamriel. They are the servants of Sithis and the Night Mother, the children of blood and murder, and perhaps the most reviled of the 4 major guilds on Tamriel. The Dark Brotherhood is a guild of professional killers which has, historically, possessed considerable influence and power, but always at the cost of eventually being hunted down and driven out. The first thing of serious note when dealing with the Dark Brotherhood is that you don't join them. They find you, generally after you've killed someone in cold blood. The Dark Brotherhood isn't interested in people who murder for fun. To them, death is a business, and a profitable one. Their reasons are more economic than religious, and as such they tend to recruit only those who have killed coldly. Recruitment can come in any number of forms, but often starts with a simple letter emblazoned with a black handprint and 2 words: "We know." As well as a task, often the murder of an innocent, any innocent, not in the heat of anger or out of any sense of revenge, but just because you can. Next, to really understand the Dark Brotherhood, you have to understand its shared history with the Morag Tong, which is to say, the mutual hatred the 2 organizations have for each other. Sometime before the events of Elder Scrolls Online, which is, remember, about the Second Era, about the year 562, the Dark Brotherhood split from the Morag Tong for what is largely considered a difference in belief. While the Morag Tong venerated Mephala, the Dark Brotherhood, then a splinter group, worshipped Sithis, the Void. It is posited that the split came sometime after the assassination of Reman Cyrodiil III, in the First Era, 2920, by the Morag Tong, as contracted by his successor, Versa Duché, who was then assassinated himself centuries later, in the Second Era, 324, by the same group. This brought outrage down upon the Morag Tong, and it was forced to go underground as it was hunted into near extinction, and they were outlawed across the continent. The same year that Versa Duché was murdered, it's said to be the same year the Night Mother was killed. She was a Dunmer who lived in Bravel, and was said to be the wife of Sithis, having borne him 5 children, all of whom she murdered to prove her loyalty to him. She was, in turn, killed for it, and her house burned to the ground around her. 30 years later, an unnamed man began hearing a woman's voice in his head, who called herself the Night Mother. He became the first of the many listeners to come, and this eventually established the Dark Brotherhood. To this date, because of this rift, the Tong and the Brotherhood remain at odds. The Brotherhood can gain no foothold in Morrowind, and the Tong is actively hunted outside of Dunmer territory. But more on the Tong in another video. The Dark Brotherhood, as it currently stands, is led by the Black Hand and wields considerable power and influence across Tamriel. The Black Hand is a council of 5 members, the Listener, and 4 speakers. The Listener hears the word of Sithis, the names of those who have been offered for murder by those who have performed the Black Sacrament, through the Night Mother, and passes them to the speakers, who disseminates them to the rest of the Brotherhood as they see fit. They are also beholden to the 5 tenets, rules, and morals the Brotherhood follows on pain of death. Never dishonor the Night Mother. To do so is to invoke the wrath of Sithis. Never betray the Dark Brotherhood or its secrets. To do so is to invoke the wrath of Sithis. Never disobey or refuse to carry out an order from a Dark Brotherhood superior. To do so is to invoke the wrath of Sithis. Never steal the possessions of a Dark Brother or a Dark Sister. To do so is to invoke the wrath of Sithis. Never kill a Dark Brother or a Dark Sister. To do so is to invoke the wrath of Sithis. In case we weren't clear, the wrath of Sithis is death. And finally, there is the Black Sacrament, a ritual performed by a petitioner by offering an effigy of human body parts and stabbing it with a blade rubbed in the petals of a nightshade and chanting, sweet mother, send your child unto me, for the sins of the unworthy must be baptized in blood and fear." Now that we've gotten through all of that, let's take a look at some ideas on how to RP a member of the Dark Brotherhood. Now, it is recommended that you remember that the Dark Brotherhood is pretty universally reviled and very often not seen. What else would you expect from a guild of professional hitmen? As such, people are not going to know you belong to one of the most hated guilds on Tamriel. Like the Thieves Guild, Dark Brothers and Dark Sisters rely on anonymity to accomplish their work. The system set in place by the Black Sacrament and the Black Hand simply doesn't work if people can pick you out of a crowd. Think of it as the Bruce Wayne-Batman dichotomy. Bruce doesn't act like Batman and dress like him all the time, and Batman doesn't act like Bruce Wayne in costume. No one is certain who the real person is, but he's never just Bruce or Batman. This means don't be in high-strung or super cool assassin mode all the time. For the most part, Dark Brotherhood assassins blend into normal society when not out on a job. And above all else, and I cannot stress this enough, do not announce to the world that you are in the Dark Brotherhood, especially in Morrowind, unless you want to be hunted by every Tong agent imaginable. The Dark Brotherhood requires secrecy, and by revealing yourself to the public, you could be breaking one of the 5 tenets, which will result in the Dark Brotherhood bringing Sithis' wrath down on your head. In case you forgot, that means they'll kill you. Whatever your reasons for joining the Dark Brotherhood, whatever your methods, reasoning, or mentalities, you are one of the most sought after and hated killers on Tamriel. Until your last breath, enjoy your lofty position.